What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're jumping into some more Orcs from Unchained. This time we are heading into the Academy sewers with Cygnus. This map has been around for a little while. I have quite a few videos doing it with other characters, but it is one of my favorite videos, or not videos, but maps to play in the game. I actually wish that the variant that was introduced due to a bug in one of the updates was still kept, just so it could still be played. But it caused one of the waves to essentially duplicate the enemies that were coming out of one of the gates, and gave you two bosses and a huge string of enemies, which is really crazy, but fun. I mean, most people got wrecked by it because they weren't expecting it, especially if you played the map before and just were entirely not prepared for it. But otherwise, I thought it was pretty interesting. So you have a choice here. I'm gonna do some fiddling with the wall traps here, just to see if we can do something a little bit economical, and probably see about having some lightning rods put up too, rather than taking the usual bunch of ballistas. Could probably trademark that bunch of ballista. But let's go ahead and see what we can do with these particular traps. There's going to be a lot of enemies coming through, and luckily these particular wall traps, the arrow wall and Spitfire, have a pretty good refire time, so they're going to be firing pretty often, and we'll see how they work. Let's go.
Protect the rifts at all costs.
All right. So this area you rarely want to use. Like, it's possible if you defend your place well enough that you can probably just leave that open, but I like making sure that I have the security of this here guardian set up.
That goes there. Good spot for this.
Alright, and that's pretty much how we're going to start today. I usually don't gun up this little entryway, but why not?
Good spot for this. They've broken through a gate.
Alright, and there's going to be some Dwarven priests in here. We want to get those guys nice and wrecked before they shield up too many of the crew that'll be coming through. And that will prevent us from having to waste a lot of extra time and mana cleaning them up. Once you get all of your traps out there, pretty good to go.
I do love traps.
Alright, that is about where you want that. This will be burning basically whoever does not get taken out by the initial barrage of arrows. Oh, they're getting heals now. That was not in the playbook. It's because the other bears are dying near them. That's the passive for the bears. Any of their buddies dies, they get 25% of their life back. I believe it's standard 25% across all bear varieties. Alright, and then we're gonna do the same thing over here basically. Set them up with a little bit of burning.
Just like old times.
And actually short quite a bit of coin.
The enemy army is attacking on another front.
Hopefully we can get that recovered though. Shouldn't take long. Maybe a wave. But you have to be careful because they got giants this time. Giants are a little sturdier, or mountain giants. They're a little sturdier than the regular guys. Much more HP, quite a bit more damage. You don't want to underestimate them, or they will wreck you if they get up close and personal.
Good to be trapping again.
That said,
Right there.
they can get shot up with arrows too, just like everybody else. And I have not provided enough damage so that they don't get to mess with my Guardian, which is kind of a problem, but we'll get that taken care of. Everything in due time. Toss up some more lightning rods in the process. The earlier you put up the lightning rods, the better. Gonna try to clean these guys out before they get too many Dwarven Shaman buffs. They're not bears, so their HP won't come back, which is good. This forces the bears to take way longer to kill than anything else normally would. Alright. So one of the things that we're going to need here is just another spacer of sorts to keep the enemies from moving around and not being where we want them to be. Alright, and our answer to Sarge is going to be more traps.
I do not think bigger is always better.
It would be a good idea to have a BGH ballista, but it wouldn't work against the rest of the units that are going to be coming through, and because I'm here, I can just deal with them personally. If you don't feel comfortable or you're using a hero that doesn't put out quite as much damage, I would recommend placing a BGH ballista, just because you do want to make sure you get that damage out there, and if your hero isn't going to do it, the traps have to. Alright, well, let's get back upstairs. Now, even though this map is particularly huge, the fact that you have to move back and forth often just showcases the lack of mobility that some characters possess. Which isn't necessarily bad, everybody can't be super fast.
Watch out! An unstable rift is opening. Get to it and destroy it.
Okay, that unstable rift is this way. I can actually just let that open. It's really not a big deal. It'll take a bit more time if I do. That's another thing. If you had placed a few BGH ballistas in the right place, that could actually just be destroyed.
Unstable rift was not destroyed. Enemy minions incoming.
This is harder than it looks, you know.
One of them just hops the barricade. That's interesting. It's probably because of the specific location of the rift.
I do love traps. Storm calling is a lost art.
Missed way too many shots there.
Perfect. Just like old times. That goes there.
Alright.
Good spot for this. Who says I'm
So that's
too
going to be
old for milk
doing way
trees?
more damage in the future. Because I just blew a truckload of coin going through there.
You will pay for this.
If you don't deal enough damage to one-shot these guys, you're going to want to have some gear to deal extra damage, or try to set it up so that your Guardian deals the initial hit and then you follow up. Their shields are going to heavily reduce the amount of damage that they actually take for anything after the first hit. So that's why you want to make sure that you're either one-shotting them or have multiple stages of damage to actually kill them. Anything less, and you might wind up losing some rift points. I personally like to make sure that they run through the flames afterwards, because that way they can reduce the damage for things that they're going to get hit with afterwards, but they're still burning.
There.
Now, you also get the opportunity to do this and that. All right.
Howdy, y'all. Just like old times. Perfect.
That should be fine. It doesn't look like it, but most of the stage is basically already over. These guys are actually just going to die really fast because they have no HP. And all of my traps are pretty solid at doing area damage over some pretty large areas. That and lightning damage is amazing versus anything that's clustered up. Now what we're going to do is on the left side, going to place some BGH ballistas. Over here, it's all going to be lightning rods.
That goes there.
Oh, almost got me.
Good to be trapping again.
Not sure exactly what he was going for there. I mean, I know he wanted to knock me into the acid, but whatever tweaks were made in the final patches to this game, before everything kind of went dark on the dev side, is the Bouncer Bear just seems to run towards the back of any group he's in. Like, he brings up the rear, and then when he finally comes out, if he sees you, he just charges into you and tries to knock you off a cliff. That's really all he does. He used to be a bit more active, and then he got bugged for a little bit, and then he kind of just hides now, which is interesting. He feels more like a buggy bear than a bouncer bear. Alright, anybody gonna make it through here? Doubt it. It's a lot of arrows. Lots of arrows, a little bit of lightning. Sprinkle some pepper to taste. Fry up some satyrs. It's a good recipe.
Just like old times. Right there. Right there.
Nope, trap cap. Something that's really easy to do with small traps, especially when the traps themselves are not super expensive, like the lightning rod. It's got that freaking sturdy ability, or steady. Ranged characters benefit from that probably a lot more than anybody melee, just because they're going to mindlessly follow the path regardless. Invisible fireballs. But can they even be hit? Dude. What in the world? Oh, there's still some bugs.
This is the final wave.
And I believe that one had to do with the enemy positions. Sometimes they can be in places that they aren't visibly. And so the game will treat it as though they're where you see them, but they are very much not. Until you get into a place where everything kind of makes sense. On the server side, things will be strange, to put it lightly. Right now, all these guys are basically going to charge to their deaths, and we'll be a-okay. Is anybody actually going to get past here? Yeah, they do. Not bad.
Will be even better at killing things. The boss minion has entered the battlefield.
So this is going to be a Swifty Hooves, and I have far too many BGH ballistas up there, so what you're probably going to see here is Swifty getting himself murdered before he comes around the corner. Alright. and that's the Academy Sewers. It's just a fun little map. It's short, pretty quick, gets you a decent amount of experience, and of course those character chests if you haven't beat it yet. But it's one of the maps that I really like. It has a lot of character in the game. It plays differently than a lot of other ones, has some really unique situations and trap settings. So, you know, give it a shot. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Feel free to leave any comments about the video or the channel or anything you like regarding video games in general beneath the video. If there's something you want to see played on the channel, I haven't posted a list of all the games that I have. It'll be pretty long, probably about 300 items or so. A lot of them I haven't finished. And I did say at some point that I was going to get around to Bioshock Infinite, because I've beaten Bioshock 1 and 2, and Infinite I don't believe has as many bugs on my PC, so we should be fine if I decide to get into that at a later time. But there's a lot of options. There's also stuff like Dead Cells, which is new and amazing, and there's plenty of things to play. But maybe I did say I was going to throw up a poll for that, and I haven't done it yet. We have the next hero that everybody seems to want me to play, and I think that's Tundra. So we'll see if the poll doesn't get swung in a different direction before I actually get around to getting those videos produced. But we only have 2 more stages left for Cygnus. We have the Krogan Keep, which is a relatively long stage. It can be finished quickly if you are really good at it. You can see people like Kefkafish do that sometimes in some of his Twitch VODs, or whenever he does pretty much anything. But I usually take a slower approach. It's easier for newer players to pull off. But there's Krogan Keep, and then the Eventide Fortress, which is the ultimate stage in survival, and we'll get those done pretty soon. Either way, thanks for tuning in. As always, I hope you guys appreciated it again, or enjoyed it. Sorry. I appreciate you guys for being here. I mix those up a lot. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate you for watching, and make sure you take care of yourselves. And as always, until next time, have a good one, folks.